You're watching Wake Up Charlotte on WCNC Charlotte.
Good morning to you. Taking a live look over uptown Charlotte. Still dark out there, bright and early, 6 a.m. Way to wake up early and get that worm. Thanks for joining us here on WCNC Charlotte. I'm Savannah Levins, and I know we all want to know how it's feeling outside before we take to our Saturday. So let's check in with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Chris, what do you have for us?
Hey, thanks a lot, Savannah. Well, first off, fall, good to see you. Last September, we had multiple 90-degree days. We started off a little bit warmer, but now fall looks like it's going to settle out pretty much to end the month at this pace, but it will be a little bit warmer about 7 days from now. Now, the weather words of the day, number one is going to be fall or autumn, whatever you want to call it, because it feels more like the end of October over the next couple of days. Cooler temperatures for sure, especially compared to yesterday, where we did have highs in the 70s. It's also going to be a breezy day with some wind gusts getting up to about 25 miles per hour during the afternoon. Current temperatures right now, 64 degrees. This is nothing compared to tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we're anticipating the 40s. What's helping us out right now? Cloud cover. If you look across the board, not a lot of sunshine today. Yesterday, it was cloudy for most of the day, but you did have some bright spots. I think the same thing is going to go for that case and scenario. High temperature right around 67 degrees. And as I mentioned, it's going to be in the breezy side, sustained winds anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So I have a high of 67 degrees for your September 19th. What's interesting, if you go to the average high climatology, well, this actually feels more like November 1st. So we're certainly above the curve. And through this evening, we're going to chill down in a hurry. Those clouds are going to clear out sunset time at 7:22. Coming up, I'm going to tell you how long this fall weather is going to be sticking around, but also we have to talk about the tropics. Alpha and Beta, we're done with our hurricane name list. This is an above average season and even record breaking. I'll have more coming up.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Chris. This morning, disbelief and sadness continues from coast to coast over the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The justice passing away Friday at the age of 87. A lifelong champion of women's rights, she eventually became a feminist icon and the High Court's most prominent member. NBC's Alice Barr has more on her life and legacy.
The Supreme Court turning into a memorial as mourners gather to say goodbye to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The icon of the High Court and pioneer for women's rights died at home surrounded by her family. She was 87 and had been fighting pancreatic cancer.
She gave her life to expanding rights and understood that the country was at its best when we widened our arms.
Justice Ginsburg spent more than a quarter century on the U.S. Supreme Court in a career guided by the fight for equality.
How wrong it is to judge people on the basis of what they look like.
She helped launch the ACLU Women's Rights Project in the 1970s, and in the 1990s, President Clinton named her as the second woman on the highest court in the land. Within hours of her death, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced the Republican-controlled Senate would be voting for a new nominee, even though he blocked President Obama's nominee months before the 2016 election. Democrats pointing to an NPR report that Justice Ginsburg told her granddaughter her dying wish was to not be replaced until a new president is installed. Tonight, the presidential candidates paying their respects.
She was an amazing woman who led an amazing life.
She practiced the highest American ideals as a justice.
Among the many condolences pouring in, Chief Justice John Roberts writing of his colleague, quote, "Today we mourn, but with confidence that future generations will remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg as we knew her, a tireless and resolute champion of justice." Justice Ginsburg once recalled that her mother told her to be a lady, and to her that meant to be your own person, be independent. She was. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And if you haven't seen it, there's a great movie about her called On the Basis of Sex. Really good one to watch. Well, people all over the political spectrum are posting their condolences. You can always share your thoughts as well on the WCNC Charlotte Facebook page and on our Twitter feed. So here's how a replacement for Justice Ginsburg would be seated. First, nominations are sent to the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's where confirmation hearings happen. And the nominees are grilled by lawmakers about their views. And then the committee votes on whether the nominee should move forward. Now, if that happens, the full Senate takes a vote. The nominee needs approval from 51 members to be confirmed. Moving on now, it has been 6 months since North Carolina saw its first coronavirus-related closures. Can you believe it? 6 months. A time when life as we knew it really began to change. This morning, Vanessa Rufus takes a look back at what we've been through and what we've accomplished along the way.
March 3rd, North Carolina reported its very first coronavirus case. A week later, a state of emergency declared, and then more executive orders came.
This is the decision that no one wanted to see happen, but it is the right decision.
That was March 14th, the day officials said public schools would have to close. At the time, it was only supposed to be for 2 weeks. 3 days later, the governor suspending sit-down service for bars and restaurants.
We know that this is an unprecedented and abrupt halt of doing business.
That day, Health and Human Services reported the state had 40 total COVID cases. It was averaging 3 new ones a day. On the 30th, Tar Heels were told to stay at home. Folks staying largely locked down for more than a month as cases and unemployment grew.
We're all hurting. We're not doing the business we would like to be doing.
In May, the state began to reopen. Cases then were growing by 400 daily, and more than 500 North Carolinians had died from the virus. Through the summer, we averaged as many as 2,000 new cases a day, not turning a corner until a month after June's statewide mask mandate.
It's bigger than you. You know, it's not all about you, right? So that's why we wear a mask.
Even after back to school and more business reopenings, metrics are now on the downswing. Through the pandemic, nearly 200,000 North Carolinians have caught the virus and more than 3,200 have died. But as we still mark struggles and losses, our eyes are open to the stories of sacrifices, support, and survival.
You can do it and just be strong and know there are people out here praying for you and you can survive like me.
Reminders that we can't and won't give up. Vanessa Rufus, WCNC Charlotte.
6 months, more than 6 months of dealing with all this. It's hard to believe. In some ways it feels like yesterday, in others it feels like it's been years and years. And we're still dealing with it. This morning we're tracking COVID concerns in Kannapolis after a popular brewery had 8 customers test positive. But the owner of the business is firing back this morning, saying there's not enough proof that the brewery had any part in the outbreak. Our Hunter Sines has the details.
With fountains flowing outside and beer flowing inside, Old Armor Beer Company in Kannapolis is a popular place.
Just making some good brews that everybody can enjoy.
But they expect to take a financial hit.
We're just at a loss at this point.
That's because Cabarrus County's health director says 8 positive COVID-19 cases are linked to this brewery. The county's Health Alliance says all became positive within a 14-day period, and all of them visited the business.
We told them, we don't agree with this.
Owner Kyle Lingefeld is the general manager. He says an employee got the virus Labor Day weekend and hasn't been back to work since. He says the health department is putting his business on blast with little proof.
I don't know that this is a fair light on a small business that's trying to make it through COVID when these same people went through other places. They went to gas stations, they went to these big stores. How is that a fair assessment?
Since the pandemic, all tables have been 6 feet apart. Masks are given out for free along with hand sanitizer at tables. Signage is up and capacity is kept below 50%.
We're doing the right things and we're still getting hit, and that's what's tough about this.
Old Armor is still open for business. The owner says this brewery is safe and is following all the state guidelines as it always has. But now he's warning other breweries.
It's inevitable. You can't avoid it.
A brewery armored with safety precautions, now left wondering how a virus potentially got through. In Kannapolis, Hunter Sines, WCNC Charlotte.
A federal judge has now blocked the Postal Service changes that slowed mail delivery. This after 14 states sued the Trump administration and the Postal Service. The changes included a leave behind policy where trucks were leaving postal facilities on time, regardless of whether there was more mail to load. The judge called the changes a politically motivated attack. Coming up, football is back. We know a lot of you love to hear it. This morning, a look at who's in and who's out for tomorrow's Panthers match up with the Bucs as they take on Tom Brady's new team. Then we're talking snack habits and sleep, why what you eat just before bed could impact how you feel when you wake up.